The universe is a vast dark ocean, filled with countless stars and worlds yet unseen. Through this cosmic sea sails the Zarathis, a colossal alien cruiser, its dark metal hull shimmering as it passes distant suns. Aboard this ship, Rakal, a high-ranking officer in the alien fleet, paces his private chamber. He's a veteran of countless campaigns, a conqueror of worlds, a commander of thousands. But the report glowing on his screen sends a chill through his hardened soul. Human children, imprisoned, on an abandoned research station? Rekal mutters, his claws tapping against the metallic floor. What madness is this? To him, humans have always been a primitive, often overrated species. Yet something about this intelligence report feels deeply wrong. This station, perched on a lonely, icy moon, is far from any civilized system. Intercepted signals suggest dozens of human children are held captive, their existence a secret kept from the galaxy. His mind races. Who would do this? And why? Children are innocent, he thinks. This isn't strategic, it's cruel. He can't let it go. Without another thought, he activates the communications console. Encrypted images of the station flicker to life. The feed is grainy, but it's enough. He sees stark metal walls, cramped living cells, and shadows moving within. And then, he sees them. The children. Their faces are pale, their eyes wide with fear. But behind the fear, he sees something else. Curiosity, defiance. A spark of life that should have been extinguished by these brutal conditions. Rakal's claws tighten on the console's edge. How could they survive this? How could terrified, isolated children still show such courage? He leans closer to the hologram. This isn't a normal operation. Someone wanted them alive. But why? The station's AI was corrupted long ago. Rekal tries to access its logs. Show me everything, he commands. Alien code streams across the screen, then a broken message appears. Humans, not understood, potential threat, children, essential. Rekal freezes. A potential threat? From humans? The idea is unsettling. Primitive, yes, but a threat? What could these children possibly do to warrant such an elaborate hidden prison? A cold dread creeps over him. His duty demands he follow protocol, but his conscience screams louder than any order. He has a choice. Ignore this, or act. He clenches his jaw. No, I cannot let this continue. Not children, not humans. In that moment, he makes a decision that will change everything. He will go to that station even if he has to go alone. He summons his shuttle crew. Prepare for departure. We're going to the ice station. Full stealth mode. No alarms. The crew hesitates. Sir, the station is heavily guarded. Drones, energy shields. I said prepare the shuttle, Rekal interrupts, his voice sharp with authority. I will not argue. Children are at risk. The shuttle lifts off, a silent shadow against the infinite black of space. As they approach, sensors confirm the heavy security. Every instinct screams retreat, but Rekal pushes forward. Inside, the station is eerily quiet. The hum of ancient machinery echoes through darkened hallways like a ghostly whisper. And then he hears it. Soft voices. Children laughing quietly, whispering to each other, unaware of the giant alien warrior standing in the shadows. His heart tightens. Each child is a reminder of the innocent life he swore to protect, regardless of species. Then a small girl looks directly at him. Her hair is pale, her eyes wide and intelligent, almost too knowing for her age. Who are you? She asks, her voice trembling but strong. Rekal pauses. I am Rekal, he says carefully. I am here to help. The girl's eyes narrow with suspicion. Help? Aliens don't help humans. I am not like them, he replies. I do not follow their orders blindly. I follow what is right. After a tense moment, she slowly nods. Her name is Lira. In that brief exchange, Rekal realizes she's different. Clever, brave, and unnervingly calm. Suddenly, alarms blare. Red lights flash across the walls. They've been discovered. Rekal growls in frustration. But he will not leave these children behind. He looks at Lira. Stay close, I will get you out. I will. The shadowed halls promise danger. But for the first time, Rekal feels a new kind of mission. One that matters more than conquest, more than obedience. As the alarms echo and the sound of approaching footsteps grows louder, Rekal knows one thing with absolute certainty. This is only the beginning. The galaxy will never be the same. The crimson alarm lights painted long, jagged shadows across the station's icy halls. I moved fast, my claws making barely a sound on the cold metal floors. Behind me, Lira and the other children followed, their small forms trying to melt into the darkness. They were frightened, yes, but there was something else about them that unsettled me. A quiet courage, a silent defiance. The intruders were closing in. Tall, armored alien guards scanned the corridors, their sensors glowing with merciless intent. Every single step was a gamble. One mistake, and it was all over. I crouched behind a console, trying to steady my breathing. We need to move, I whispered to Lira. There's a secure chamber at the far end. It's safe. For now. The children all nodded, their faces pale but set with determination. Lira's eyes, though, held something more. A spark of knowledge, as if she already knew the dangers that lay ahead, beyond what I could see. As we crept through the station, I managed to access the damaged AI systems. Fragments of logs and messages flickered across the screen. Humans are underestimated. Children contain potential beyond calculations. Biosignatures align with weapon, must control. My claws clicked against the keyboard as I read. The words were broken, but the meaning was chilling. Someone had been targeting these children deliberately, not to study them, not to train them, but to use them as tools for something catastrophic. I froze. Could humans really be that valuable? Or was it fear that drove our enemies to such cruelty? Suddenly, a soft, melodic hum echoed down the corridors. Lira stopped dead in her tracks, her gaze sharpening. They're watching us, she said. Her voice was calm, almost unnervingly so. Not the soldiers. Someone else. Someone higher. I frowned. Higher? Who? Lira didn't answer. Instead, she led us down a narrow maintenance shaft, a shortcut that bypassed the main corridors. The walls were tight, the air stale, but it was our best chance. As we moved, the shadows around us seemed to flicker in a way that wasn't natural. My instincts were screaming at me. This station held far more secrets than I ever imagined. At last, we reached the secure chamber. Inside were storage crates, old tech, and strangely holographic projections of human star maps. Lira walked right up to one, her small fingers hovering over the glowing images. These are the locations, she said quietly. The children weren't taken randomly. They're part of a plan. A bigger plan. Someone wants humans, not dead, but controlled. My claws tightened into fists. Controlled? How? Lira hesitated. I don't know everything. But the AI left a clue, a warning. Whoever is behind this, they think humans are weak, but they're wrong, very wrong. My mind was racing. I had always dismissed humans as insignificant, a minor species on the galactic stage. But here, surrounded by these small, terrified children, I was beginning to see their true potential. It wasn't just physical or intellectual strength, but something deeper, something completely unpredictable. Before I could process it, the station shuddered violently. Alarms blared louder as bulkheads sealed and doors locked. They weren't just outside anymore, they were inside with us. Stay close, move! I yelled, grabbing Lira. We darted into a narrow tunnel only to be stopped by a flickering hologram of an alien general, tall and imposing. You should not be here, Rekal. His voice thundered. Humans are weak. They should be nothing but tools. You are foolish to interfere. I growled back. Weak? These children are more alive than your entire fleet. The projection let out a cold, metallic laugh. Alive? Perhaps, but alive does not mean strong. You cannot stop the plan. Children are not the galaxy belongs to those who control it. A surge of pure anger washed over me. Control? Using children as weapons, I will not allow it. The general's image vanished, but his words hung heavy in the air. This was no longer a simple rescue mission. It was a battle for the future of the entire galaxy. Lira stepped forward, her small hand clenched into a fist. "They think they understand humans," she said softly, but her voice carried a power that made me pause. "But they don't. Not even close. They haven't seen what we can do." I looked at her, and it hit me with the force of a plasma blast. This wasn't just a mission. It was a revelation. Humans, even their children, possessed a strength beyond imagination. And for the first time, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. The galaxy had underestimated humans. And that was about to become its greatest mistake. The red lights flickered, shadows dancing wildly as reinforcements approached. I drew my weapon, ready for the fight, but a new determination burned within me. This was the beginning of a new era. The hunt had just begun. The station's corridors screamed with alarms, the heavy thrum of approaching alien reinforcements vibrating through the metal floor. Reckel's claws tapped out a restless rhythm, a stark contrast to the storm brewing in his mind. He'd faced countless battles, seen the worst the galaxy had to offer, but this was different. Children trapped in the cold heart of a conspiracy that threatened to rewrite the stars. Lira led the small group through a hidden maintenance tunnel. Her small frame moved with an agility and confidence that seemed out of place. Every step was deliberate, as if she knew the station's secrets better than Rekal himself. The other children followed, their eyes wide with fear, some trembling, but a quiet determination burned in each of them. They would survive. Finally, they spilled into a larger chamber, a forgotten control hub. Consoles flickered weakly, and rows of defense drones sat dormant, covered in dust. Rekal wasted no time, his claws flying across the controls to reactivate the systems. Screens blinked to life, displaying maps, security logs, and station schematics. "Perfect," he muttered, a grim satisfaction in his voice. "We can turn their own weapons against them." Lira approached him, her gaze unsettlingly sharp. "I can access the drones," she said, her voice steady. "I learned things from the AI, things they didn't want us to know." Rekal paused, studying her. This was no ordinary child. "You're more than that. You're clever, resourceful, and unafraid." A faint smile touched her lips. "I learned from being watched. They underestimate humans. They always do." The two worked in a tense, focused silence, a strange alliance of alien warrior and human child, hacking into the station's core systems. Rekal reactivated a squadron of drones, turning them into their silent sentinels. Lira, meanwhile, guided the other children into hidden alcoves, ensuring their safety. The forgotten chamber hummed with a new purpose, becoming a small hub of rebellion, a tiny spark against the overwhelming darkness outside. Time blurred. Hours, or maybe just minutes, passed in a flurry of calculations and cautious movements. Then a sharp, alarmed shout echoed from outside the chamber. The alien guards had found them. "Time's up," Rekal growled, turning to Lira. "Are you ready?" Her eyes gleamed with a fierce light. "I've been ready. They'll see us coming, but they won't know what we'll do next." As the guards breached the hallway, the drones sprang to life. They sliced through the corridors, disabling enemy units with cold, mechanical precision. Guided by Lira, the children became part of the defense, closing doors, diverting sensors, creating chaos. But it was controlled chaos. And amidst it all, Rekal felt something he hadn't felt in years. Trust, not just in his own skills, but in these humans. They were clever, unpredictable, and astonishingly brave. And in that unpredictability lay their greatest strength. While pushing forward, Rekal stumbled upon a hidden data core. Hacking into it, he uncovered encrypted files that made his blood run cold. The children weren't just prisoners, they were the key to a galactic superweapon, biologically linked to human DNA. Whoever controlled them could manipulate life itself on dozens of worlds. Freckles' jaw tightened. This is bigger than I thought. They're not just experimenting. They're planning to weaponize your entire species against the galaxy. Lira's voice was unnervingly calm. Then we stopped them. All of us. Together. Humans and you. Rekal hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing his mind. An alien and a handful of children against an interstellar conspiracy? But as he looked at Lira, at the fierce hope in the eyes of the others, the answer was clear. Yes, he said, his voice firm. We fight together, and we win together. Reinforcements stormed the chamber. Energy beams and plasma bolts lit up the hallways in a deadly strobe. But Rekal and the children, now working as one, used the environment itself as a weapon. Turrets flipped, walls shifted, and drones struck with calculated fury, guided by the children acting as scouts. Every move was precise yet full of a human creativity the enemy couldn't predict. Amid the chaos, Rekal noticed one guard hesitate, his eyes showing a flicker of doubt. A plan began to form in his mind. If even a few of them could be turned. The chamber finally fell silent. The immediate threat was neutralized, but this was only the beginning. The data core revealed a network of stations, a conspiracy stretching across the galaxy. Rekal turned to Lira, a mix of pride and grim determination in his eyes. You were right. Humans are stronger than they think, and together, we can stop this. Lyra's faint smile returned, but her eyes were deadly serious. They think humans are weak, but they've never faced us like this, and they've never faced me. Just then, the station's alarms flared again, louder this time. More reinforcements were coming, more numerous, more prepared. But inside that chamber, something new had been forged. A bond of trust, courage, and the unpredictable strength of humanity. And Rekal realized with chilling certainty, this was no longer just a mission. This was a war for the soul of the galaxy. The station groaned around us, the echoes of battle a constant reminder of the hunters at our backs. I led the children deeper into the icy maze, our brief sanctuary now feeling more like a trap. Outside, the enemy regrouped, their energy shields pulsing like malevolent heartbeats. Freedom was close, but so was death. As I turned to Lira, keeping my voice low. The main exit is a death trap, I whispered. But there's a service shaft. It's narrow, dangerous, but it might be our only way out. Lyra's nod was firm, her eyes carrying a chilling confidence. I've run it in simulations, she replied calmly. It's tight. Some of us will have to go single file. The children's faces grew pale, but no one cried out. Fear had been replaced by a hardened resolve. I felt a surge of pride. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but their resilience. It was a force stronger than most species in the galaxy could ever comprehend. We moved through the dark tunnels, the cold walls seeping into our bones. Every vibration felt like a countdown. Suddenly a security drone whirred into view, its red eye locking onto us. I moved on instinct, disarming and disabling it in a shower of sparks. But before I could celebrate, Lira was already working. Tapping into the drone's system, she projected a holographic false corridor, masking our escape from other patrols. Clever girl, I muttered, impressed. You're not just smart, you're dangerous. A faint smile touched her lips. Only when I need to be. Our path was soon blocked by a shimmering force field. My claws scraped uselessly against the encrypted control panel. Lira stepped forward, her fingers a blur across the interface. Within seconds, the field dissolved into nothing. You're incredible, I whispered, my voice thick with awe. Lyra's gaze hardened. We've had to be. They always underestimate us. Finally, we reached the service shaft, a vertical abyss slick with ice. One by one, the children began the treacherous descent, their small forms slipping but never falling, guided by Lyra's expert instructions. I followed, a rear guard for our desperate little group. But just as the last child was halfway down, a deafening crash echoed from above. They'd found us. Energy beams seared the air, vaporizing the ice around us. Move faster, I roared. my voice cutting through the chaos. Lira glanced up, her mind calculating at lightning speed. Use the side panels for cover, then drop. The children obeyed without question. Sparks flew, ice shattered, and hearts pounded, and I leaped, grabbing the last child and narrowly dodging a lethal blast. We hit the bottom with a bone-jarring thud, but we weren't safe yet. The outer doors were sealed. My eyes scanned the area and locked onto a small, dormant maintenance shuttle. "This is it," I said, helping the children aboard. "We take this shuttle, or we die here." The shuttle groaned to life as I fired up the engines. Reinforcements were swarming the exit, but Lira's fingers were already flying across the console, a partial stealth field flickering around us. "Hold on," she yelled. The shuttle lurched forward, weaving through a deadly web of energy fire and jagged ice. The children's screams were a mix of terror and pure exhilaration. As we cleared the station, it loomed behind us, a dark monument to our captivity. We were free, at least for now. I looked at Lira, the adrenaline still coursing through me. "You led them well. You saved them all." Her eyes, glowing with a fierce inner light, met mine. "We saved ourselves," she corrected. "And this is only the beginning. They won't stop hunting us. Not now. Not ever." Her words hung in the air, heavy with truth. I had faced empires and assassins, but this was different. A conspiracy that weaponized children, a galaxy that saw humans as weak. It was all just starting. The shuttle shot into the infinite black, leaving the icy moon a speck in the distance. The stars stretched before us, a silent, beautiful lie. Somewhere out there, our enemies were watching. A new war was brewing in the shadows, and as we disappeared into the void, I realized a truth I could no longer deny. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for the last time. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The shuttle screamed through the void, stars blurring into lines of impossible speed. Behind us, the Zarathi's cruiser was a predator on the hunt, its engines burning plasma, hungry for our capture. I gripped the controls, my claws tightening on the cold metal. Every single light on the console was a screeching alarm. Energy blasts, patrol ships, intercept drones. They were throwing everything they had at us. The children were huddled behind me, their faces pale with fear. All except one. Lira. She sat there, a picture of impossible calm, her eyes darting across the data displays. Her fingers moved like lightning, calculating escape vectors faster than any machine I'd ever seen. "They're closing in," one of the kids cried out, his voice shaking. My eyes narrowed. "Stay calm," I growled. "They're fast, but they're predictable, and that's their weakness." Lira's fingers danced across her console. "I can scramble their tracking, but it's temporary. They've laid a trap in the asteroid belt ahead. Reinforcements are waiting." My jaw clenched. "A trap? Then we'll turn it against them." I yanked the shuttle into a sharp dive, weaving through a graveyard of massive asteroids. Plasma beams from the alien drones seared the space around us, but we were too agile, too unpredictable. This wasn't a chase. It was a deadly ballet. Lira was a genius, hacking our cloaking system, making us vanish and reappear at random. Each flicker bought us precious seconds, forcing the enemy to recalibrate, to second guess. I couldn't help but mutter, "You're incredible." Lira's gaze never left the screen. "I told you. They underestimate humans." Suddenly, a massive energy net erupted from the asteroid field, a glittering web designed to snare us. I threw the shuttle into a desperate roll. Sparks flew as the net grazed our hull. Alarms blared, the ship groaning in protest, but the children following Lira's lead were steady. "They think they can corner us," she said, her voice a quiet fire. "They don't understand what we can do." She was right. These weren't just children. They were survivors, thinkers. Each one a spark of that chaotic, brilliant human ingenuity that no alien algorithm could ever predict. We plunged into a narrow canyon between two colossal asteroids. Just as we'd planned, the pursuit fleet followed blindly, their sensors fooled by Lira's phantom signals. One by one, their ships met a crushing end against the unyielding rock. A wave of relief washed over us. We'd survived. But I knew it was just a reprieve. The forces hunting us were vast. Then, Lira's eyes widened. "I'm detecting another ship," she said, her voice tight with tension. "It's different, not like the others. Its energy signature is unusual." I leaned closer. "Unusual how?" "It's not just a ship," she whispered. "It's intelligent. It's known where we are from the very start." The cabin fell silent. A new, more terrifying predator had entered the game. This new ship appeared on our screens, a sleek phantom shimmering against the black. Energy beams, precise and deadly, sliced past us. This wasn't brute force. This was a surgeon's scalpel. "Hold on," I yelled. "We outsmart them, not outrun them. Follow my lead and Lira's calculations." We became one unit. Lira's mind, my combat instincts, and the children's focused support. We turned the asteroid field into our weapon. We ricocheted their own energy beams back at them. We led them through impossible turns. Finally, the intelligent ship faltered, its shields flickering. Lira's eyes glimmered. They weren't expecting this kind of coordination. They underestimated all of us. A small smile touched my lips. Indeed, humans are far stronger than they imagine. But the fight wasn't over. Beyond the asteroids, the main fleet was regrouping. Someone, somewhere, was pulling the strings. I looked at the children, their faces filled not with fear, but with determination. "This is far from over," I said, pride swelling in my chest. "But we fight smarter, faster, and together. Always together." Lira's hand rested on a console button, her resolve firm. "They think they know what humans are capable of. They're wrong. They will learn. The hard way." Our shuttle plunged deeper into the shadows of the asteroid belt. The chase continues, but now there's hope. And a new truth has been forged in fire. Never ever underestimate humanity. The shuttle, battered but not broken, sliced through the inky blackness. Inside, the silence was heavy, punctuated only by the soft hum of the life support systems. The children, their small faces etched with exhaustion, stared out at the endless void. At the helm, Lira's fingers were a blur, dancing across the controls as she sifted through the data streams we'd snatched from the enemy fleet. I watched her, my jaw tight. It was a humbling realization. Even the youngest of these humans possessed a cunning I'd never seen in my own species. This doesn't make any sense," Lira whispered, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The children, they're not just captives. They're part of something much, much bigger. And it's dangerous." I leaned in, my voice a low growl. "Explain, now." She gestured to a holographic display that flickered to life between us. A map of the galaxy materialized, dotted with stars, planets, and countless points of light representing fleets and energy signatures. "All the abducted children," she began. "Their DNA is directly linked to a weapon. But not just any weapon. It's a bioweapon on a galactic scale. Whoever controls it can literally manipulate life itself across entire star systems." A cold dread washed over me. I'd suspected the enemy was ambitious, but this was monstrous. Children, innocent human children, were the keys to a device that could unmake worlds. "Why humans?" I asked, the words catching in my throat. "Why not any other species?" Lira's gaze was sharp, her voice steady despite the gravity of her words. "Humans are unpredictable. Our minds, our biology. We adapt. We survive. We think differently. The aliens behind this, they're terrified of that. They fear humans more than they'll ever admit." My claws flexed involuntarily. All this time I had underestimated them. Now, staring at this small child who held the fate of galaxies in her hands, I saw the depth of my error. These children, all humans, were far more capable than any of us had ever believed. Suddenly, a piercing alarm blared through the cockpit. The lead alien ship, the one from the chase, was back. This time it had friends, a whole fleet of smaller vessels, swarming our position. They had tracked us to this isolated sector, methodically cutting off every escape route. "They know we have the data," Lira said, her voice barely a whisper. "They're coming for us. For all of us." I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "Then we fight smart, not with brute force, but with cunning." "But," Lira nodded, her expression grim but resolute. She tapped into the shuttle's systems using the captured data to create false projections. Dozens of holographic duplicates of our shuttle blossomed across the sector, a desperate attempt to confuse the pursuers and buy us precious minutes. But it wasn't enough. One ship, larger and far more advanced than the rest, tore through the illusion. Its energy shield pulsed with an ominous glow, its hull bristling with weapons. I recognized it instantly, the flagship of the conspirators. "They've come for the children," I muttered, rage and determination coiling in my gut. "And they will not succeed. Not while I live." The shuttle lurched as we dove into a nearby asteroid field, crimson lasers scorching the rock around us. Lira's calculations were flawless, guiding us through every gap, every crevice. But I knew it was a losing game. We could only survive if we acted now. Then, Lira revealed her last, desperate gamble. I can interface with the bioweapon systems remotely," she said, her voice tight. "If I can access it, I can prevent them from using it, but it's incredibly risky. It could alert them to our exact location instantly." I looked at her, at this brave, small human. "Do it," I said. "For the children, for the galaxy." Her hands flew across the console, sending encrypted signals deep into the heart of the alien network. The screens around us flashed with warnings and errors as alarms shrieked. Pulses of raw energy radiated from our shuttle, visible even in the vacuum of space. I wrestled with the controls, keeping the shuttle stable, as the flagship's energy beams lashed out, missing us by mere meters. One wrong move and we would be nothing but stardust. And then, silence. The screens went dark. The entire alien fleet froze, suspended in space. Lira's ingenuity had worked. She had destabilized the bioweapon network, severing their control. The children were safe, no longer pawns in a game of galactic destruction. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding, my claws finally unclenching. I looked at Lira, my voice filled with awe and respect. You did it. You humans are extraordinary." She offered a faint smile, but her eyes remained serious. "We have to be careful. This only delayed them. They'll be back, stronger, faster, and more prepared." I nodded. For the first time, I truly understood the power of humanity, their resilience, their creativity, their sheer unpredictability. And I knew with absolute certainty that no one should ever underestimate them again. The stars stretched out before us, a calm but deceptive frontier. The battle was won for now, but the war for the galaxy's future was far from over, and in that quiet moment I made a silent promise. I would protect these children and any other human who held the key to our survival, no matter the cost. The vast, cold darkness of space stretched into infinity, but within the shuttle a fire of defiance burned bright. I gripped the controls, my claws steady despite the chaos erupting around us. Beside me, Lira and the children were a storm of focused energy, their small hands flying across consoles, coordinating evasive maneuvers and hacking the enemy network. Ahead, the conspirators' flagship loomed, a monstrous beast of a ship, its hull shimmering with energy shields, weapons bristling like jagged teeth. Hundreds of smaller attack vessels swarmed around it, poised to tear us apart. There was no escape. The only path forward was to fight, not with brute force but with cunning and unity. My voice was low but carried the weight of command. "Children, we turn their strength against them. Follow Lira's lead. Trust her. And trust yourselves." Lira nodded, her eyes glowing faintly as she dove deep into the alien network. "We can overload their weapon systems remotely," she announced, her voice calm amidst the storm. "But I need everyone to act exactly as I say. One mistake, and it's all over." In that moment, They ceased to be children and became a single, seamless unit, executing Lira's plan with an almost supernatural precision. Every action, diverting power, rerouting energy, manipulating controls, was a small but vital piece of a brilliant puzzle. I piloted our small shuttle through impossibly narrow gaps between asteroids, dodging energy beams that would have vaporized any other vessel. The flagship unleashed a torrent of plasma, and the smaller ships closed in, confident in their numbers. But they hadn't counted on human unpredictability. We turned the battlefield into their nightmare. False sensor readings, sudden energy pulses, and erratic maneuvers sent the enemy ships colliding, firing on each other in their confusion. Lira's fingers were a blur on the console. "Now!" she shouted. We unleashed a concentrated EMP pulse, a dagger of pure energy that sliced through the flagship's defenses. Lights flickered across its massive hull, weapons discharged randomly, and its shields wavered. "Hold steady," I roared, seizing the opening. "Target the main reactor." Our energy beams struck true, piercing the flagship's core. Explosions rippled across its hull like a dying heartbeat. The rest of the enemy fleet faltered, their leader crippled, their chain of command shattered. I guided our shuttle through the maelstrom as Lira orchestrated every move, the children acting as spotters, engineers, and strategists, a perfect symphony of survival. Then, a final, desperate surge of energy erupted from the flagship's heart, threatening to annihilate everything. Lira's voice cut through the tension. "I can contain it, but I'll need direct access." I hesitated. It was madness. "It's too dangerous, you could—" "I have to," she interrupted, her resolve absolute. "Trust me." I held the shuttle steady near the dying behemoth. Lira extended a neural interface, linking her mind directly to the alien ship's systems. Data flowed through her, her small hands glowing as her sheer determination and ingenuity bent their own technology to her will. The energy surge crested, then collapsed, safely neutralized. The flagship shuddered one last time and then exploded, its wreckage scattering into the void. The remaining alien vessels fled. Silence returned, broken only by the hum of our engines. I looked at the children, their faces pale but triumphant, and then at Lira. "You, all of you, have done what no one believed possible. Humans are extraordinary." Lira offered a faint smile. "We're more than they think. Always have been." A new feeling settled in my chest, something more profound than victory. It was respect. I had commanded fleets and conquered worlds, but this alliance, this triumph of spirit and intellect, was something greater. "They thought humans were weak," Lira said, standing beside me. "But we're survivors. They will never underestimate us again." My eyes met hers. "No, they will not. I will make sure of it. I will protect humans, for they are the future of this galaxy." Our shuttle soared on, leaving the ghosts of our enemies behind. The war was far from over, but in the vastness of space, the spark of humanity's true potential had been ignited, a force that would change the galaxy forever. The shuttle drifted through the serene expanse of space, distant stars shimmering like tiny lanterns scattered across an infinite velvet cloth. Inside, the children sat in a quiet hush, the exhaustion of their ordeal etched on their faces, yet overlaid with the soft glow of relief and wonder. The battles, the frantic chase, the ever-present danger, it was all behind them now. They had survived. For the very first time, the concept of freedom felt real, tangible, something they could breathe in. Frakal stood at the shuttle's observation deck, his gaze lost in the endless darkness. He, a warrior who had witnessed the conquest of worlds and commanded fleets that bent entire civilizations to his will, had never felt a victory as profound as this. It wasn't the clash of weapons or the might of armadas that defined this moment. It was something far more powerful. Hope. Lira approached him, her small frame belying a commanding presence. Her eyes, sharp and filled with a wisdom beyond her years, reflected both the relief of their escape and a steely determination. "We did more than just survive," she said, her voice soft but firm. "We proved something. We proved that humans are more than anyone believes. We adapt, we fight, and we never ever give up. They thought they could control us, that we were just less. They were wrong. A swell of pride rose in Rekal's chest as he nodded in agreement. Yes, he rumbled, his voice full of a newfound conviction, and I will make sure no one ever underestimates humans again. Not children, not an entire species, not even me. The children began to gather around them, their hushed voices weaving a tapestry of shared laughter and quiet smiles. They had forged unbreakable bonds not just with each other, but with the alien who had risked everything to save them. Rekel realized he had learned as much from them as they had gained from his protection. He saw now that true courage wasn't measured by physical strength or military might alone. It was found in the spirit, in sheer willpower, and in the unity of a people who refused to be broken. Lira stepped closer to the shuttle's controls, her small hands hovering over the console. "The galaxy will hear about this one day," she declared, her voice ringing with certainty. "They will know that humans are not weak. They will know that even when we're cornered, even when we're outnumbered, we rise." Freckles studied the young girl. In her, he saw the brilliant spark of a species that had the potential to change the fate of worlds. He knew, with an unshakable certainty, that humanity would shape the future. Not as tools to be used, not as pawns in some cosmic game, but as equals in the galaxy's grand design. As the shuttle glided past a brilliant sun-like star, its golden light washed over the children's faces, illuminating their hopeful expressions. Lira's determined look softened for just a moment. "We'll have to keep moving," she said, the weight of responsibility returning to her voice. "There are others still out there, captured, waiting, and they're going to need us." Rekel placed a large clawed hand gently on her shoulder, a gesture of solidarity. "Then we move," he affirmed. "Together." Outside, the silent, drifting wreckage of the alien flagship served as a stark monument to their victory, and its cost. But it also marked the beginning of a new chapter. For the first time in galactic history, humans were no longer the underestimated species. Their strength, their courage, and their incredible ingenuity had been proven against impossible odds. As the small shuttle disappeared into the vast star field, Rekel contemplated the countless worlds and unknown dangers that lay ahead. The future was a great, uncertain sea, but he knew humanity would face it head-on. And in the heart of that endless universe, a simple truth now shone brighter than any star. Humans survive. Humans adapt. Humans triumph. The legend of Lira, the brave children, and the alien who believed in them would begin to spread. A quiet whisper at first, then a resounding chorus across the cosmos. It would become a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. The galaxy had underestimated them once. It would never make that mistake again. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey. If you were moved by this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from across the cosmos. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.